Oh, great. Audio is up. But is it really? What is audio up? Great audio. Thanks, Lucas. Can everyone hear me out there? Yes, obviously. Great. Hi, Rudy. Hi, Lucas. Hi, Alfred. Great to see you here. Oh, and I'm even on Reddit now. Look at that. I've really made it. I think that I have really made it. And I also think that I should switch to this overlay. There we go. See? Look at how professional I am. Look at how good I am at streaming. I have no idea what I'm doing, but that's okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to act like I haven't done this intro already, thinking that I was actually streaming. But we're going to do some hacking on Ubuntu Touch today. We've got the 1+1 here. It just got installed. And we're going to be working on testing some new PRs for OTA-12, as well as messing with maybe making some new ones. We've got quite a few things in the backlog now, as well as things that are just blocking the release. So I'd like to be able to get those out of the way, especially with SDL apps. Those seem to be the biggest problem out of all of our issues so far. And hopefully throughout this I can show you a little bit more about how you test things on Ubuntu Touch, how we test things, and what we use to do so. But without further ado, why don't we just get right into it? So I'm going to switch over here, and we need to show you GitHub. There we are. So yeah, my browser is messy. Don't. On the OTA, and these are blocking the release of our next stable release. We're currently on OTA-11. We're trying to get to OTA-12, and we have been since October. That is much longer than I prefer to have, but it happens. So we have quite a few things with review in progress, and that's where we're going to be looking here. Actually, one thing has moved to review in progress since this morning, so I can't wait to test that out. And by this morning, I mean 2 hours ago. And why don't we start with this WPA update? Because this will be a fairly simple one to test out. Basically, Rachanan has switched our version of WPA to the newest one in Ubuntu, and there's not terribly much else interesting about it. We've already got a test on the 1+1, but I want to start this before we get into anything too extreme. Hi, Alan. Hi, McPhail. Yes, the old struggles with SDL will keep on coming. This time it's worse because Lomiri just crashes when an SDL app runs. Let me try out this one, cron, and Action Cam. So if we hit this, it will not start. That hasn't been merged yet. Oops. So yeah, those issues still happen. Back over here. So what we're going to do is open up a terminal to the device and get testing on this WPA PR. What we are going to expect to happen with the PR is, excuse me, trying to find my Visual Studio Code window. There we are. What we're going to test is just that we get back on our Wi-Fi connection after we restart the device. So I am going to switch to the small action cam so you guys can see the device. Perfect. Look at that. Right now we are on my Wi-Fi here, and we're going to make sure that still happens after we update. So to start, I'm going to head into, I see now that switching all of these stream sharing all the time is not going to work too well. That's okay. What? In fact, the window is gone. That's fine. We're going to... I notice now that this is probably silent on stream, so I should probably have some music playing or something. I'll have to ask Wimpress about how he does that, because that could be useful. We're going to start by making sure that I'm going to find the right packages. We're going to open an ADB shell to device, because this one is in developer mode. And list out our packages by using dpackage-l and searching for WPA in that output. There are better ways to do this, but WPA supplicant. Okay. Again, there are better ways to do that, but I don't know them, and I don't particularly care. So from the Great. UBport CI, I'm going to grab the appropriate package, WPA supplicant for ARMHF. Which is right here. I can't share an entire screen because that would do all three of my monitors, and that would not be good. So unfortunately, I'm not able to show you that, but we download that file to our device, and then with the power of mounting the rootfs read-write, which is not a good idea unless you're testing something, and dpackage-i for install, we're going to install this package. Now you might be able to see when that happened, I completely lost Wi-Fi access. There are no longer any Wi-Fi networks on this device, so we're going to have to reboot it. Because when WPA supplicant is upgraded, it doesn't seem to start Network Manager and everything from the start like it's supposed to. So we just need to reboot and test again. If you have any questions about Ubuntu Touch during this time or anything like that, or the development thereof, or upcoming devices, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm watching stream chat, no problem. Let's see if I can grab my window this time. Maybe not. That's okay. A big part of this stream is going to be testing out that all this streaming stuff works for Saturday when we have our Q&A, because last week I wasn't able to stream the Q&A. Marius wasn't available to set up OBS because he's the one with a better internet connection. And we were just ultimately not able to stream. Right now I'm streaming this using Lightstream, which I've subscribed to, which of course is proprietary software, but it takes all of the upload load off of my network and onto theirs, mostly. So the device has started back up, and we can see in the network indicator that we are connected back to our network. And that's basically what we want to see. Let's see if we can browse the web. It's very bright for this. Yep, we're on the web, no problem. I would much prefer to be able to test this with PEAP networks, WPA enterprise networks, but unfortunately I haven't been able to figure out how to set one of those up here at home. There's supposed to be a way to do it in Unify, so if anyone has a guide to setting that up, I would appreciate it, because this is a Unify network, and I should be able to do that, but I'm not, and that makes me sad. Someone says, I'm sorry, he has a light theme on his IDE. Oh, I can fix that if you want. Theme. Watch me fix that for you. Perfect. Happy now? Is this better? I'm here to please, of course. Excellent. Generally, in between tests like this, I would prefer to reinstall Ubuntu Touch, but in the interest of going more quickly over this, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to switch a couple of scenes to see if I can get a action or a screen share to change again. And thank you everyone for coming with me on this adventure. Yep, that's the sound of clicking and nothing happening. Ah. There. Excellent. So to get to the debs from a merge build, such as this one, we go into details, which brings up our Jenkins interface very, very quickly, and into artifacts. This has all of the debs and debug debs built for a pull request, and for smaller types of builds like this one, we can find the ones that we're looking for. Like in our output earlier, we had WPA supplicant, and this is the WPA supplicant deb for ARMHF, which most of our devices are. I'm actually not seeing if this is live. Is screen sharing up again? It's not. Great. Great. Still testing. I apologize. All right. Details. And artifacts. I'm going to turn on quick scene switching, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. All wonderful things to be learning today. Okay, we can go back to the OTA-12 board now because I'm fairly happy with that. However, I did get a report this morning that someone tested it on a Pro 5 and it continued to work, so I should check that off. And if anyone in the audience has any of these devices, the BQM10HD, the BQE5, Nexus 4, Nexus 7 2013 LTE version, a Moto G 1 Plus 3 or 1 Plus 3T, you can try that out and then let me know if it works or not. And we're all going to be able to test together that way. And what I did is about all you'll need to do. Just see if it reconnects to your WPA network after it's done. Moving along then, we have a pull request, add pull refresh to the app drawer, which actually it seems didn't build correctly. I'm going to check out why that happened. So again, into the X or check mark and details to get into our Jenkins interface. And it looks like only one of these three architectures actually failed to build. Again, this is an issue with the Unity Lumiri tests where some of them fail sometimes, and so they'll only fail on one architecture. So if you're making a pull request, segmentation fault in the tutorial tests. These are all things that we're debugging over time. But for now, I will sign in. I said sign in. To rebuild this. That is a good question. Is audio dropping for everyone or just them? I'd like to know. Okay. So with that rebuilding, it'll be a while until that comes back up. But when that's done, we can install that PR. Next, This doesn't occur on the 1+1 or any device that I have, so unfortunately I'm not able to test screen recognizes touch input in sleep. This has been reviewed already and merged. So let's see what Rachanon's doing with Libertine. That was merged an hour ago. This is a revert of a revert. We have been going back and forth on Libertine. Yay. We'll create a focus window, flatten, yes. So we're messing with X apps in Libertine, and I don't know, do I have Genie installed here? Unfortunately not, but I do have GIMP. That try to make extra windows for themselves and don't label them appropriately as, say, a tooltip. So Unity, Lomiri, I will continue to get this wrong until the day I die, even though I helped rename it. Opens up a new card. If I can show the card view. It opens up a new card for each window that tries to open. And that is awful, but we'll continue to debug that. For now, we're just flattening the windows, meaning all of them become one window, one card, more accurately. Which tends to break some apps, but also fixes others. It's a bit of a strange paradigm. And makes me very upset at Libertine. It's always getting better, though. So we have flatten installed now. So I'm going to head back into my terminal. And we're going to update to test that out. If here we are. There. So we switch our screen share. Now I know I have to click a button to do that. Head into the shell. And we saw in the PR that this was merged about an hour ago. But Ubuntu Touch builds are nightly. I have the latest build of Ubuntu Touch, but it doesn't mean that I have all of the latest packages. So if I do sudo ubports qa update, what this will do is grab the newest packages from our repositories and install them on the device. The password for this device is 1111. I'm not afraid to tell anyone that. So this shows an interesting question that we get often about Ubuntu Touch is whether apt is actually installed or usable on the rootfs. And the answer is, kind of. It can be used to do things like update some packages like I'm doing here. But that's not a very good idea because it can mess up OTA updates and basically brick your device if an update doesn't go correctly. Additionally, things like kernel upgrades never get installed this way. So you can be stuck without all of the features that you want for quite a long time. And indeed, there are other issues such as not having enough free space to actually install packages sometimes. That was an excellent segue. This can cause issues like, luckily sometimes apt can detect it like this, but sometimes apt can't detect when it's going to run out of space during a package operation. And then it'll actually end up not installing a package all the way or deleting a file that it's not supposed to, and then your device doesn't work anymore. So this really isn't a good idea to run unless you're doing testing. You certainly can, and that's your prerogative, but I don't recommend it. What we're going to do now is another thing that I don't recommend unless you're testing, which is reboot into recovery and make the root file system larger. And this will allow us to continue to install packages and possibly compile some software straight on the device because I'm lazy and don't want to use CrossBuilder. To start that, we're going to do sudo reboot-f recovery, which is a force reboot telling the device to go into recovery when it comes back. You'll see on the action cam, we're going to boot straight into recovery because of that. Yay. From here, we can do an ADB shell to get into it and move over to the data folder where the system.image is contained. Both system.image and ubuntu.image are the same image. That's a long story that I don't want to tell right now. But this contains the Ubuntu Touch root file system. All the things that make up the Ubuntu Touch system software are contained in this image. So everything that gets installed on your device if you were to completely wipe it and reinstall. The data that you have, on the other hand, is stored in the user data folder, which is your home folder is contained in here. If I ls user data, you'll see phablet, and if I ls that, you'll see all the files that are in phablet's home directory in the device, or on the device. This is nice because it allows us to completely wipe the device, brick it, whatever it may be, but once Ubuntu Touch is reinstalled, all of your data is still there. And indeed, if we look in that system data folder, system data, you'll see etc opt and var. And if we look in opt, click.ubuntu.com, this is where all of your click packages are installed. Again, this is another way that you can completely wreck your file system by testing like I'm doing right now. But if you reinstall Ubuntu Touch, everything will be back to the way it was, except of course all those packages that you modified. To resize the root file system itself, we're going to start off with an e2 fisc, or file system check. This will make sure that we're not about to corrupt the entire file system. We're going to pass -fy, which means force, and don't ask me yes or no, just fix it. No problems were found. And even if they were, I would do the next step anyway, which is resize e2fs, resize an x2, 3, or 4 file system, -f for force, because otherwise it says, no, I can't do that for some reason. We're going to pass system.image as the one that we want to resize, and our new size will be 4 gigabytes or 4G. The file system is now that many blocks long, which is 4 gigabytes. And if we do ls-lh system.image, the size doesn't actually show correctly because it's a hard link. I'm smart. Oh well. Sync and reboot to get back into the system. And assuming all went well, we're going to be back in the system momentarily. Linux tutorials, going back to my comment on Libertine earlier. How about we split the card according to the windows? That is what Libertine is designed to do, and indeed if flatten isn't passed, that works kind of. However, poorly behaved applications like Genie create new windows while you're typing for whatever reason. And some applications, when you open, say, the context menus, these file, edit, everything at the top, will create a new normal window for that as well, whereas they should be listed as tooltips. So Lomiri has no way of knowing whether that's supposed to be actually a new window or if it's supposed to be a tooltip. And it's being told it's a new window, so it just uses a new window. And that's caused quite a few issues. Hopefully that's something that can be fixed as we go on, such as when we move over to X Wayland, because Mir now has Wayland support, and Mir's not dead, by the way. We'll be able to handle those cases a little bit better, we hope. Just a moment. All back. So if we unlock the device now, you can see that everything is back to the way it was, and indeed all of my apps are still here like they're supposed to be, and all of my data is. If we open up the shell, we see all those files that I showed you earlier in the /userdata/phablet directory over on the device from recovery. And if we do df-h, which is show free space, if we find dev loop 0, which is mounted as / or the root file system, it is now 4 gigs large, which 1.9 gigs are used. which is why we were running out of space before. If we run sudo ports qa update again, the update should succeed this time. 1111's that password, don't forget it. And this is the most exciting part of my job, waiting for computers to do things. Now here we see that QtMeer plugin and QtMeer Android are going to be upgraded. Unfortunately not Libertine as I was hoping. I'll have to see why that's happening in a moment, but you'll also see that we're downgrading WPA supplicant. And that's because we installed a newer version from our, just downloading it from the website. But it sees the older version in the repository. So it's going to, apt is going to try to resolve everything that it can to the state that the repository is, not necessarily the state of the device in this specific upgrade. And of course, if I'm talking past anyone here, please do let me know, because I would love to explain some of these things more. If you let me know. So looking back at flattened surfaces by default in the browser, has the build failed? It has. Okay. A moment here as I try and fix that. The build failed in results. Okay, so that's just a retry on that. So our Libertine build failed while trying to send the results to our repository. If we retry that, it should succeed again. And we will wait for that to occur. But in the meantime, we'll do something else, of course. You saw here that QtMeer Android was upgraded. QtMeer is the component of Ubuntu Touch that, if I can swap my screen share very carefully. There. I need to open it up here. It serves as the base for Unity, and it abstracts mere surfaces, which are windows, into the Qt scene graph, meaning more accurately that windows become Qt objects, or things that Qt can manipulate and change and display on a screen, like this. QtMeer performs that abstraction between Qt itself and Mir itself. So a lot of things that are problems in Unity actually end up being inside QtMeer. I hope that was a good explanation. If not, say. Audio was gone for a moment during switching. Am I the only one? That makes sense. I should stop talking while I'm doing send to live, because that's a rather difficult switch. Oh, the pull request that was merged was mine, indeed, which was the surface was gone too quickly. Catching standard out of range. This pull request here was merged 1 hour ago. Yep. So what that should do, now that we've upgraded that segues back quite nicely, actually. That should fix this cron app, which is an SDL application. If I start that, we're going to hope it doesn't crash. It crashed because I haven't actually restarted the device yet. Sudo reboot on the device. It's best when you are upgrading packages with sudo ubports qa upgrade or any other to restart the device entirely. Sometimes you don't know what exactly is being held onto the older libraries, and things may continue to fail the way they did before, and you won't exactly understand why, like I just did. Slight glitch on switching. That makes a lot of sense. As we wait for this device to boot, how's everyone's day going? Is everyone enjoying self-isolation, or enforced isolation in some cases. The device automatically restarts if the app needs it. That's not exactly true, but we're going to go with that. Okay, we're back up. I'm going to turn down the brightness here. That'll make you see the fan a little bit more, but hopefully you can also see the screen better. Go away. And now the cron app should start. Yes, there. Excellent. So cron is a Rubik's Cube timer that tells you how to shuffle your Rubik's Cube and then allows you to time yourself solving it. I actually don't know what all these letters mean. I just know that this app exists and didn't work before, and now it does. It has a head-to-head mode where you can fight against someone else with your Rubik's Cubes. And then one person can stop it when they have solved the cube. I think it's a nice app. I like it, even though I don't know how to use it. Now, when I close this, I expect that it's going to restart Unity. I'm pretty sure it's going to break. So let's see. It will take a little bit as it... Oh, it worked. Excellent. We're going to try and reproduce that one later. But for now, we're going to swap back over to our Firefox window for our next bug. This one I haven't seen before. Add a 32-bit visual for those that look for it. Aha! I think I know what issue this will be. But Libertine hasn't finished building yet, so we're going to add that to our list of things to test in a moment. And actually, that clears the list of things that I can test for now. So we're going to keep restarting cron until eventually it fails to stop. Swap over to there. And we're going to keep on restarting cube. Oh. So if you see here, I'm tapping this cron app as fast as I can. And it's not actually starting. So it never actually stopped. And this has been my life over the past few days of fixing one thing with these SDL applications, only for several more things to break. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it is exposing issues that Libertine also exposes, and ones that can be misused by other apps to cause a small denial of service on people's devices. Although I can start other... Never mind, I can't start other applications. So yeah, this is actually a really bad bug. Let's get ourselves a shell and start to look at fixing this one. I think this is going to be a little bit more difficult to fix and mess with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get an SSH shell into the device, which I've already set up, but that can be done by adding your SSH key to .ssh authorized keys and running Android gadget service SSH enable. That should start SSH so that you can SSH to your device over Wi-Fi with your key. Oh. Let's do SSH phablet at that device. And I'm going to switch back to our terminal. Great. That's not our terminal. One moment. There we are. That should do it. And if I don't say anything while that happens, we aren't going to have the issues that we had before where it breaks. Okay, So we're back in the terminal. We have an SSH session to the device using its local IP address. And what we're going to do is we're going to watch the Unity logs as that crash occurs, because that crash is probably going to occur if I try to do that again, or a similar one. The problem is when Lomiri, Unity, they're interchangeable at this point until we actually manage to get things changed in the operating system, restarts, or when it stops or crashes, it automatically restarts. So we're going to block that automatic restart. And to do that, we're actually going to need to mount the root file system read-only again. Sudo mount /-o remount, rw. And we're going to modify the file that, the upstart file that tells upstart how to start unity.conf. I know upstart is old, but we still use it, and we will continue to use it until we upgrade Ubuntu. We're going to comment out this respawn line, which tells upstart to restart the job whenever it crashes. And then we're going to stop Unity 8 and start it again so that it reloads its session, or its job file. We start running, and in just a second it should pop up the lock screen. Neat. Now Unity's logs are in the phablet user's home directory .cache upstart unity8.log. And here we can see if I log in, some new things get added to the log. We're going to continue to watch this as we open the cron app. And then as we close it again, I'm going to hit enter a few times so that when we look back in the log, we'll know exactly when this happened. And close it. And there's the crash. And because we've removed the respawn line, it's not clouding up the log trying to restart itself and making this absolutely difficult to navigate. If we follow the log here, we can see that this is when we swipe from the edge to cause the app spread to show. The cron app became unfocused, and then we closed it. Closed timed out because the app didn't close when it was asked to. And we'll have to see exactly what that means. It's inside qtmir.surfaces. So we'll be opening qtmir and checking that out a bit. It was set live was unset, which means that it was told it was no longer being shown. Closed forcefully, killed. And then something tried to activate it again, which means tried to bring it back into focus. That will be something we need to look at. This line doesn't mean anything to me at the moment. Cannot read property stage of null. Happens rather often. And indeed, it shows us exactly where it's happening. What we should be doing is doing if item and item.stage, which is checking if item exists before we try to read stage. That's not the issue in this case, but good find, Dan. It keeps going, tries to remove the app, then tries to suspend the app before finally hitting corrupted size versus previous size, which is probably sig abort, which means that it's found its issue internally. It may also be a segmentation fault, though. We're going to check that out. And to do that, we're going to install GDB on the device. Sudo apt install GDB. GDB is the GNU debugger, and it helps us find issues like this, including looking through the execution of an app, stopping it, and starting it again to see exactly where things are changing. It's a difficult program to use. And for quite some time, it went right over my head. There is an interesting book called The Art of Debugging with GDB, and I would highly recommend reading that if you're interested in learning more about debugging. It really did help me out. So much nostalgia from debugging SDL on the phone, says McPhail. Oh good, I'm not alone. Now GDB can either take an application that it will start itself and start to debug, or it can start to debug an application that's already been started. And that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to start Unity 8, which is initctl start Unity 8, just shortened because we're on Ubuntu, and it was good. And gdb-p, which means attached to a PID. And we're going to use another command to chain into that argument, PID of Unity 8. So after Unity 8 has started successfully, we're going to get its PID and then tell GDB to debug that PID. This will take a little bit to start, so we're going to get it running. And first we'll see Unity 8 start/running, followed by attaching to process. McPhail asks, are you using the default SDL2 from 1604? Did that have all of Brandon's fixes? I think it was Brandon. Sorry. This is a custom version of SDL. Most apps ship their own custom version rather than packaging one from the archives. And this app worked correctly on OTA-11, but doesn't work on OTA-12. And that's why we're debugging it. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be too concerned with the status of it, because there are a lot of bugs in SDL, and indeed mirror support was removed from newer versions, so it's very difficult to find a working version, but because this version worked before, it should still work now, basically. Alright, so we can see here that we have a GDB prompt. This is where we could do things like set breakpoints, meaning tell GDB where to stop the program if it sees it past that point. But instead, we're just going to do C for continue, and either will work. And Unity will start on the device. Very, very, very quickly. Debugging actually slows things down a lot, as you can see by that poor circle trying to load. Let's start up kubecron and see if we can catch this issue in action this time. Okay, starts normally, can be used, it's an app, excellent. Let's close it, I don't want to use it anymore. Well, that's weird, why isn't it closing? And it actually went through correctly. Now before we had this where we'd start another app and it'd crash, let's see if that happens. No, interesting. So this leads me to believe that this issue may actually be a race condition, and that is there are multiple, as you can see, threads running in Unity 8. Actually, a whole lot of basically like two people trying to drink out of the same cup at the same time sometimes. So if one person tries to pour in milk and the other person tries to pour in orange juice, you're going to end up with something wrong in that glass. Was that a good explanation? Maybe. It is interesting that settings didn't actually start. So we're going to try to start that again. And it's not starting. It's never actually connecting to the surface, I would guess. I'm going to need another terminal so I can check out the log of Unity. Unity8.log, thank you. Looking in the log, there is a lot of logging here, which can be very overwhelming at first, but eventually you do start to get used to this kind of stuff and the complexity therein. I'm going to close this app and start it from the beginning to see how it logs. System settings. Start application. Add a placeholder. Max width, that doesn't matter. This line we don't care about right now because that happens other times. We set it as focused, but if we look here, window, this is the ID of the object or where it is in memory. It has an ID of 6, which, meh. But null means that it doesn't have a surface yet. Indeed, it isn't actually getting one. Only this placeholder, which has this loading screen on it, this very nice loading screen that's supposed to make you forget that the app's taking forever to load, is showing. The app doesn't actually appear to have started correctly. If we close it, it also doesn't say anything about a surface in this log. Weird. Let's try another app. Interesting. So if you start and close an SDL app, you can't start any other apps, or Unity just crashes. I'd prefer if it just crashed, because that might be easier to figure out. Huh. Wow. I'm just as surprised as you are. Can we start cron again? No. And here's an interesting error. Application requested to be focused, but there's no window for it. What should we do? And I bet if I were to look inside Unity's code for that exact string, application requested to be focused, but no window for it, copy, and woo, I just quit Visual Studio. The control key is dangerous. Let me hook that back up for you. Oopsies. We were trying to find... Oh no, all of our terminals are gone. Oh man. What should we do? And indeed, there is... Oh, please. That's a little better. Application requests to be focused, but there's no window for it. What should we do? Just when a focus is requested inside the stage. And I think that's going to be a little bit too much to explain right now. This probably isn't exactly the bug, but it is a symptom of it, where apps just won't start. We don't know why. I'm going to split my terminals again, and a little pro tip. We're going to open a file that we're just going to put some text in, and we're not going to save it. And that way, if I try to quit Visual Studio again, it'll ask me if I want to save that file before it goes away. Pro tip, if you're streaming and don't want to close your applications all the time. I'm going to preemptively open QtMir, which again abstracts away Qt and Mir and puts them together in this strange conglomeration. I'm going to add that to our workspace just preemptively because I know I'm going to need to be in there before too long. And we're going to open up our debugger again. I really hope the last one actually stopped. Grep DDB. Pro tip, use Vim. You'll never be able to quit. That's not such a bad idea, except for the part where I can't navigate the Unity and Mir and QtMir code bases without go to definition anymore. After I figured out that that actually works, literally yesterday. Before that, I just couldn't navigate the code base at all. It does appear that GDB stopped correctly. So if we do GDB B -P PID of Unity 8. Shush, shush, shush. Good, good, we're in. We have our new debugging session. And now I see I didn't really need to do that at all because I just want to restart Unity anyway. So we're going to stop Unity 8 and start it again. This is exactly how I normally work, just accidentally rework all day. I also talk to myself a lot while I work, so this is just making it Socially acceptable? Yeah, socially acceptable. And now we're going to do our fancy one-line command, start Unity 8 and GDB, to head right into GDB as soon as we're up. Is the size of the text okay for everyone? That's something that I was interested in testing out. Dan says, I work the same way. I do random things to see what happens and arrive at a solution by happenstance. Sometimes that doesn't work, though. Like when you're working with Mir itself, like I was yesterday, and instead I just needed to go, Alan, please help. And graciously he did, which was really nice, and fixed the bug for me, even though it was in a part of the code that is completely deprecated and going to be removed in Mir 2.0. I really appreciated that. I'm going to continue on GDB here. I can read even on a tiny screen. This actually isn't so much smaller than I normally use. It's not that my eyes are bad, it's just that I like the larger text better for some reason. Even though I can fit more on screen if it's smaller text, even my e-reader I use really huge font sizes. Okay. Let's try to open cron again and see if we can crash it. Open, close, and it's fine. This is a much more interesting way to be debugging this, but one that I really wish that I didn't have to do, because if it just crashed, it'd be way easier to see what's happening. SSH. And again, we're going to suspend it after we've already tried to close the app. And this does then continue to cause new apps to fail. Well, I'm going to finished building. One of the other things we could test finished building so that we can do something more than this. Indeed, we do have Libertine built, I hope. This is Xmere, not Libertine. Libertine built. So we're going to switch over to messing with that for a moment, because it would be more useful if I do that. And we're going to stop Unity again. And hopefully it stops. It may not. It may be completely stuck at this point. There it goes. Okay. Mir failed to shut down correctly, terminating it. And terminate called without an exception. Huh. So that really did fail. Something is really stuck inside Mir somewhere, I think. We'll have to do a little more digging into that. For now, let's do a sudo ubports qa update again to grab the newer version of Libertine. The bug that we'll be testing here is, if I may start Unity 8, and we wait for all of our things to go into a row. 8 packages to upgrade, including all of the Libertine packages. That's what we want. Setting them all up. Now you can see that I have LX terminal installed, and I'll actually I think I need to restart Libertine. Libertine D. Nope. Restart Libertine. Nope. Sudo restart Libertine. Nope. Okay. I don't know how to restart Libertine, actually. That's fine. This should work anyway. If I open up LX terminal and we wait for it to start. This is, of course, a desktop application running on a phone, which means that it's really, 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 really tiny. That's the text. It's not actually going to focus because it's so tiny. But what we're interested in is going into the help menu and about, if I can hit that tiny touch point. One moment. Oh. This only occurs on MediaTek devices. Well, how am I supposed to test it then? I'm assuming it's only on MediaTek because obviously it isn't happening here. Hey, that's me. What's happening on other devices is this is becoming the wrong colors. So it's got a pink tinge to it instead of this expected perfect gray on gray on gray. That's Alex. Wait a minute. I saw that. Going back in. If I open that back up. If I open that back up. And I unfocus the window, you'll see exactly what I'm looking for occurring. That change into that pinker color. So that's only occurring when it's not focused. Wow. How? That's what we're about to find out. Actually, we're about to find out if Rachanan's fix actually fixes it or not. Oh no, Dan, your credit card just jumped on the PinePhone UbiPorts edition. That's terrible. Whatever will you do with such a lovely device? Disclaimer, I got this device for free. Whatever will you do with a PinePhone in your life that runs Ubuntu Touch? This one's booting. Just give it a second. I hope you enjoy it. Maybe I'll do a stream to work on that after we get all this OTA-12 stuff squared away. Anyway, Libertine. If I head back into the pull request, and I can show you all that power of streaming. The pull request is called add a 32-bit visual for those that look for it. And this, if we don't add this format, Xorg will add one for us, which might not be compatible with the color format we choose or have to use. This or have to use part is interesting. So a color format specifies how you read data about colors. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into that. When you are writing a frame buffer, which means a block of memory from address A to address B that contains data about what the next frame that should be displayed is. For example, this is just a really, really, really big stream of memory that's going pixel, 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 just all the way across, all the way from the top left to the bottom right of the screen. And inside that, each pixel can be made up of several bits, several bytes, which could be alpha, red, green, and blue for each component that the output frame buffer can be. So if one side of a transaction is saying, okay, I need to write my data so it can be read as alpha, transparency, red, green, blue, I'm going to write it like that. So then you say it has no alpha, it's not transparent at all. It has 25 red, 50 blue, and 75 green. But then the other side thinks that I should be reading this as alpha, green, red, blue. And it's reading it as no alpha, no transparency, and then 25 blue, 50 red, and 75 green. I think I said that in the right order. I should have wrote that down. But you might understand that one side is writing colors that the other side doesn't exactly understand. Or it understands, but it's displaying incorrectly because it thinks it's reading something differently. What we're watching on appears to be if all goes well. That pinkening. I'm going to install this now that I'm done, hopefully explaining it in a way that people can understand. Again, tell me if I'm not. This pull request is on Xmere, which is the component of Ubuntu Touch. It's actually a complete X server that's been rebuilt so that it has support to display to Mir. It is X using Mir as its hardware to display, just like it can use a graphics card, for example. It's a little weird and kind of difficult to work with. So we're going to head into the Xmere build by hitting details on this check mark. We're going to head over to artifacts, and you're going to see that there's a lot of them. I can set it. Nope, that did. Never mind. That actually doesn't work like I thought it did at all. So, but we're going to see. It's a lot. In the list, we see X server common. It's very nice that these are right at the end because, you know, X at the end. Xmere and X server common are installed, and I'm not seeing any other X11 common. Okay. So X server common, Xmere, and X11 common might be the only ones that we need. We'll see if any of those are actually in the output. With that, I should be able to switch back to Visual Studio. Moment. Well. Are we back? Are we back? That's the question. Got to turn that up. There we are. Hello? We're back. Okay. So what happened there was GNOME crashed. So, yeah. I don't know if I did something wrong or what happened, but I might be reinstalling a laptop before Saturday if that's going to keep happening. Wonderful. On the bright side, Lightstream came back up and resumed everything. So my media is back to where it was, my cameras are back to where they are, and I'm happy-ish. Yeah, minus the part where I just had to restart my laptop because GNOME was frozen. Yes. So once I'm finished here, I'll be debugging GNOME. No, I'll probably just give up on it, to be perfectly honest. Let's SSH back into the device, and where were we now? We had just downloaded Xmir and Xserver common. So if we install those packages, we should, in theory, fix the issue. So I'm going to do that now by first mounting / because I had to reboot the device as well. And then sudo apt install. And you can actually pass packages that are in the current directory to apt. And then xserver common with /. And that should offer to install those. No problem. So now we have a new version of Xmir and Xserver common. If we close the app and reopen it, that should be all we need to do in order to restart Xmir. Because a new session of Xmir is started for every app in Libertine. All right. And I'm going to open up that window again on this really, really tiny screen. Using a tablet might have been a better idea for this. Okay. We can see that we still have the nice gray on gray on gray. And if we try to switch windows, look at that. No pink. Everything seems to be working properly there. So as soon as the window gets unfocused, it doesn't lose that color format like it was before. That's what we want. That's good stuff. That's a Rachanon fix. And that's how we know it's good. Let's try some other apps. Maybe Mousepad, which of course is a text editor from Xface. If we go into About here, we have Mousepad. Tiny, tiny, tiny Mousepad. It also looks correct when moved out of the way. This is how you can run desktop applications on your phone. Isn't it great? Look at the tiny file menu. Actually, there is an app called Libertine Tweak Tool, which I think I have. I do not, but I can download it. Let's grab Libertine Tweak Tool, and I'll show you some cool tricks with Libertine. Libertine Tweak Tool. And open that guy up. All right. So right now it's working on the container with the ID Xennial, which is exactly what we want. Actually, it might be smart if I did this. There. Now it's a little easier to see. Look at that. Inside Libertine Tweak Tool, we can do things like set the XDPI. This can break everything. Libertine is not a perfect solution, and this can break everything, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to turn up that scale value there to like 300 dpi. And this may cause apps to scale correctly. It also may not, but that's okay. Excellent. There are also a couple other options here, like making scroll bars bigger in GTK3 apps so that they're easier to touch, as well as messing with transmission. I'm not sure how that's used, actually. If we close and restart our apps now, which is mousepad, mousepad, mousepad. Mousepad. We should get bigger screen. So this is a little bit easier to use. If we go into oh, I still miss the touch box. Yeah, mousepad is a fast. Now you can actually read it. See, mousepad is a fast text editor. The XFCE desktop environment. Hello, world. It is pretty fast. If we try to save files, things will get a little interesting, but there we go. And additionally, I don't see any color problems here, which is exactly what we want to see. No color problems, more accurately. Turn that brightness down again. Hi, that's me. And Alex Terminal should actually be a little bit easier to see now, too. I'll show you that. So this makes apps roughly usable. But of course, if you switch to, say, an external display, which is the best place to use these types of apps, you're going to lose... It's not going to resize automatically. So you're just going to have this huge size display on your external display. So it's not perfect, but it's a way to run apps like this on your phone, which is always... It's nice from time to time. In a pinch. You can use this to run things like Firefox, which might work better than Morph browser on some sites, but also doesn't have the touch scrolling stuff. So it's definitely hit or miss, but again, nice to have sometimes. All right, so I'm not seeing that pink tinge whenever I switch apps anymore, which is good. I don't think I have Genie installed, but I could. Yeah, I'll try that out. We'll try out Genie and make sure that it's not causing all sorts of ruckus anymore. So I need to swap back over to this. And I should have audio again now. There is a way to do this in the interface, but because we have the terminal here, I'm just going to use it. And for that, we're going to use Libertine Container Manager. There are actually some pretty good docs for using Libertine Container Manager at docs.ubports.com in the Run Desktop Apps section. Oh. I've just noticed that it's snowing outside on April 9th. How nice. That's interesting. Libertine Container Manager -I for the container ID, which is Xennial, which is the default container ID. Before that, we're going to need to do install package -I Xennial -P for package Genie. And it's going to do an apt update inside the package and then install Genie from the Ubuntu repositories. And this will be an older version of Genie because it's 1604. There's a way to add a PPA to get newer versions, but it doesn't. I don't think it builds for ARMHF, actually, so it might not work on your device. Now I'm just rambling, waiting for this to finish. The other way to do this is through system settings. If I open that up, system settings, let's swap big. There we are. So in system settings, there is the Libertine settings menu. And we can go into our container, and this will list all the apps that we have. Genie is one of them now. You can also go to the plus and enter a package name to do the same thing that I just did. So if I open that up and type in Genie here, it'll try to install that package. But since it's already installed, it won't do anything right now. So we've got Genie installed. Let's close that out. Let's close all these apps out. And then open up our It's not in the drawer. This is another bug that we can test in a little bit, but not right now. Instead, right now, I'm going to restart Unity so that it refreshes the drawer. This is another thing that Rachanon has fixed, which we'll be able to test in just a moment after we test this. Great, we're back. So let's open up Genie. And there's your little phone IDE. Again, once you have the scaling set like this, it is a little bit better. I can stare directly into the camera from here. Actually, the context menus go off the top of the page. So that's not exactly nice, but, you know, it happens. Yeah, there we are. So you can use it like that. This might actually be pretty usable with an external keyboard, so I'll give it that. The problem was, every time you typed a letter, it would open a new window, which, well, doesn't appear to be happening. Great. I'm going to check, make sure that was actually merged, because I think it was. Indeed. Yeah, flattened surfaces by default was merged. So if that wasn't installed, we would expect that it would open a new window and clutter this all up. So that's been fixed now, and the color channel swap has also been fixed. I'm going to review that after we're finished here and say that it can be merged, because that indeed fixed the issue, and I don't see any other issues in the apps that I've tested so far. If anyone else has, speak now or forever hold your peace. Let's try GIMP. Oh yeah, the GNU IMP. This takes a little bit to load. It is an older version, of course. So yeah, we're going to run GIMP, and GIMP is not on the iPhone, so therefore Ubuntu Touch is good, because it's GIMP and it's not on the iPhone. Oh, okay. Yes, it did run. Okay. It's attempting to put the docs back into the window. You can see they're not exactly in the perfect locations, and they also can't be dragged around the screen. They're over the... Oh dear. They're over the context menus. Let's see if I can hit File. New. Yeah. When someone tries to tell you that desktop apps on a phone are a good idea, you show them this screenshot right here. And we're gonna open up. Yeah, we've got a pencil tool, I think. Oh, yeah. That's not ideal. So, of course, I did give it a bit of a bad rap. This is Libertine's fault, and this is a bug that should be filed, but Libertine is meant to be used with an external mouse and keyboard, so this isn't entirely unexpected. Although it is interesting why it's happening. Might be because there are 3 windows trying to display at the same time. I do wonder then, if we were to install a newer version of GIMP that didn't need all of the, or had the integrated windows by default, whoops, if this would actually continue to work correctly, if it would fix this issue. And that may very well be. Right. Oh, well. Right. You see where this rightmost boundary is? It is exactly where the left boundary of this floating window is. So I think that hypothesis may be correct. This window is actually covering up the touch input, because it's got full length for some reason. Anyway, the issues that I look to have fixed are indeed fixed. So we're going to... Oh, I keep hitting the action camera. I'm sorry. Close those apps. We're going to prove that later. It's completely fixed. Minus GIMP itself, but, you know, whatever. Uh-oh. I just had a connection hiccup. I think it's okay now. So we have successfully tested add a 32-bit visual for those that look for it. But we did also just see that we need a pull to refresh for the app drawer because the application I'm going to swap my screen. There we are, and we're back. What we're going to do is, because we want that whole pull request installed on the device, is we're going to do sudo ubports qa install unity 8. I need 294. And assuming ubports qa works, and I don't have to use the backup way, we get a Jenkins build not found. Okay, so I kind of figured that was going to happen. We'll try one more thing. ubports /unity 8 instead. Yes, okay. Now we're grabbing Unity 8 from that pull request repository. And we have to upgrade 7 packages, including morph browser. That is a bug in the way that ubports qa works. We should not be upgrading morph browser in this transaction. But because we're not going to be testing morph browser, it should be okay to actually install it. And you can also see that it's downgrading xmir because that is an older version that we have that isn't in the repository. And it's installing here. Apologies, something just came up. There. We have now installed the new Unity 8. I'm going to restart it. You can see on the action cam, we are at the spinner again. Just a moment. Now with this changed, we expect that our drawer will have a little pull to refresh on it. When we pull that, nothing will happen because we don't have any new apps. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into settings, and I'm going to install a new app into the security and privacy. No. The Libertine container that we have. So Libertine, Ubuntu, new app, enter a package name or Debian file. What do I want to install? I bet I could install gedit. Yeah, we need another text editor on this phone. Let's get another text editor. Okay, so now that that's running, you can see that we have the loading icon next to gedit, and if we tap on it, it is installing. We can watch that operation in progress. It's getting quite a few GTK packages, so that'll be just a moment. And our status has changed already. We have gedit should be in the list here, but it's not. But we expect that if we pull to refresh, release to refresh, well, that's no good. Let's see what's happening. Back into our terminal. And we're going to do, we have the SSH session. We're going to check the Unity 8 logs to see if there's anything obvious. We're going to refresh. That was quite a few. Let's try that again. But this time so that I can see the top. All right. Last frame took 33. Can I close this? There. Last frame took 33 milliseconds to render. There's a lot of error parsing manifest for package Xennial, which is interesting given that Xennial is only the name of the container and not actually a package in the container, but we'll keep going. Python 2.7 apparently has a desktop file, and so does Python 3.5. But that doesn't help us not seeing gedit in our list of apps. I'm going to restart Unity and see if it appears after that to make sure that it's in there. Because it could just be that a desktop file didn't get installed, which has happened before. Open this up. And lo and behold, gedit still isn't in the list. That may indeed be a separate bug. Anyone else got some ideas for software we could try out with this? Because we might have just found another bug. Keep that in mind. Keep that in your mind's eye. Actually, I'm going to write that down on my handy-dandy notepad. Never mind, that pen doesn't work. Woohoo. Fix that up. I tapped security and privacy when I meant to tap Libertine again. What software do I want to install here that will probably work correctly this time? Why is it so hard to think about software that you want at a time like this? This time I'm going to try to use Libertine Container Manager instead to see if I can make sure that it works correctly. Install package -i xenial -p. What am I going to install? Needs to be an app. Needs to exist. LibreOffice isn't a good choice, so let's not go with that. It'll take too long. Pinta, maybe. That should be in Xenial. Pinta. VLC, GIMP. Thanks, Rudy. I already have GIMP, though. Oh, that needs to install Mono. We're going to see if Mono works inside Libertine today, because I have no idea if it does or not. And it needs to get 23 megabytes of packages in order to do so. So that'll take it just a moment. Setting up GTK2. Oh my gosh. Come on. This is another reason why apt on your phone is a bad idea, though. It's really slow. Can you imagine waiting for an upgrade like this? Deity forbid that you actually end up with one of those locale updates, because there are a lot of Ubuntu Touch, so those can take 20 minutes or more to run. And if your device reboots while that's happening, well, you're not going to have much of a good device anymore. All right, there we are. All installed. Now we would expect Pinta to be in the list, but it's not. It should be next to phone. If I pull to refresh, I said pull to refresh, Pinta. Will it run? Maybe. No, but it did appear in the list. Today we've learned that Mono GTK2 applications might not work in Libertine. However, and this is a bit of a stretch, it may be possible if I head into LX terminal to then chain load Pinta correctly. Let's try that out. So we're going to open up LX terminal. I'm giving you all the hot tips on our applications here. Pinta. Will it run? It got a seg fault. This usually indicates a fatal error in the mono runtime or one of the native libraries used by your application. Oh, well, as you can see here, I can't exactly hit the scroll bar. Where is it? It's in the GTK code. Excuse me. Huh. So that is a stack trace from the Pinta code. It's actually failing trying to do something with GTK. Today we've learned that that doesn't work right. But otherwise, this pull request does indeed seem to fix the issue where you couldn't see new apps after you'd installed them. So now you can pull to refresh. It'd be nice if it automatically refreshed, but this is a good second line of defense. It's supposed to automatically refresh. That doesn't work sometimes, though. So this will be nice. I'm going to approve that. Doesn't seem like it really hurts anything else other than causing a little bit of lag while it's in progress. We might be able to do it not on the main thread, so I'll talk to Rachanan about that and maybe try out a few things. In fact, why don't we give that a try? If I move this out of the way, I need to think a little bit about my Qt knowledge here. We can do check out. Oh, there's so many pull requests. I need to do something a little bit more annoying, which is try and merge it via the command line. So it's starting to get really dark here, I think. Oh. I'm thinking it's going to storm after it stops snowing. Because this isn't a snowstorm, this is just snow. We might be getting some thunder, maybe. Depending on whether it warms up or not. So, git pull. Everything's going wrong. Okay, pull that. Alright, and now inside the launcher, we should have some new code. Oh, this is too large. I'm going to zoom out a bit. There we are. Exactly be able to handle the other way. If this was done in C++ code, there might be a way to get it to background. But just being done here in the QML, there's not terribly much more we can do. So it's not the best user experience that when you refresh your app drawer, it freezes for a little bit. But it might just be what we have to do. Because people shouldn't be refreshing their app drawer all that often. Indeed, only if there is a problem like their app didn't get listed. And then, that should only happen if they're installing Libertine apps, which I can hypothesize that not many people use Libertine anyway. My voice is starting to get killed already. That's no good. We're only 2 hours in. You know, actually, that might not be so bad. So, maybe we move back to our Heisenbug from before? That could be an idea. Yeah. I think I'm going to approve this as listed, because even though it causes this freeze for a few seconds, it's better than not being able to do it at all. And really my goal at this point is to have something that's better than OTA-11, not necessarily something that's perfect. I always have to remind myself of those requirements, those goals. Okay, let's go back to some debugging then. And we have CuteMirror open. This is a callback to, over an hour ago in the stream, but people who've been here for a while will know. We have an issue with, let's swap to Action Cam. So we have a problem with SDL applications. And the problem isn't SDL applications themselves, because some of them are pretty cool. This cron app starts, no problem, looks perfectly normal. But when we try to close it, it takes a while, and it crashes Unity. We want to know why. And before, when we were debugging this, it didn't actually crash Unity anymore when it was tried. So it might be a little interesting what happens here. Let's head into the debugger again. It is possible that we actually will hit the issue. This isn't insanity, because it is completely random whether or not we hit the issue or not. So it is trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results, but that's because the results actually can be different, because we aren't trying the exact same thing. If I head back into our SSH session, and I also need to go back to stock Xennial in my code so that I don't mess that up, as well as in CuteMirror. No. That's not right. That's not right at all. No. Git pull. That's not what I wanted. I swear I'll get this eventually. There. Okay. Only took a while to do a git pull. Now we can do gdb, so start Unity 8 and gdb-p pid of Unity 8. We talked about this before, but this is starting the GNU debugger and attaching to Unity right after it's started, which will let us see the entire startup process if we wanted. Well, most of the startup process if we wanted. So we wait a little bit for GDB to load all of its symbols, and then we're going to type continue once we get that GDB prompt. Continue. And that tells it that it can keep executing Unity. Fine phone. It's actually not the time, it's only 11:48 a.m. here. Okay. So now that it's Unity is started, we're going to head into cron again, and it'll start normally, no problems. And then we'll throw it away, wait for it to close, and with luck, Unity will continue working normally. But we also saw before that when this occurs, if we try to start another application, it no start. So we're going to debug that a little bit more. But first, I'm going to take a little break, and I will be right back with you in a couple of minutes. So stay right there, and I'll be right back. If I can find my BRB. There. We're back. No problems whatsoever. There's a squeak. I apologize. And we've got our device still not launching apps like it's supposed to. Hi, Florian. How you doing? Oh, and hi, Dan. Nice to see y'all here. All right. So we're never allocating a new surface, but only after that previous thing fails. And we can't debug it because we don't actually abort Unity like we expect. Let's see. Let's see if I can activate core dumps and maybe we can go back and debug it after it's died. Gotta configure core dumps. I don't remember how to do this. I need to see ulimit. Ulimit soft. No, ulimit core. Can you tell I don't actually know how to use ulimit? -S. Here we are. And we're going to set that system wide. Ulimit. This command sets different limits around the Linux system. Excuse me? Which ulimit? Oh, it's a bash built in. Okay. So we need to use a root shell in order to run it. Ulimit -s-c 0. Good. Then we also need to... No, we don't need to set that. This should create a dump file, meaning when Unity crashes, it will show us, or it will create a file that will allow us to go back and see what was happening at the moment it crashed. That's the theory, at least. To do that, I'm going to stop Unity, because it's already in this bad state, so we need to stop it so that we can start again and get it back into working order. And it will stop very quickly, and then we can start again. And we are back. So now I will start the app, cron, and we'll close it and we'll expect it to crash Unity entirely, which it does. Now we need to find that core dump file. Where do you think it put it? That's a question. I actually need to research this one on the fly myself, because I'm not sure where the core dump would have gone. Ulimit may also only work per shell rather than system-wide, now that I think about it. I need to search for core dumps, because I definitely know where they are, and I really don't. var cache. var crash. Nope. If we have apport, though, it will squirrel those away. So I might just install apport and let it handle that for me. Yeah, that's a good idea. Great. Just kind of depends where the current directory of the program is when it crashes, which I'm not sure about for Unity. It may not even have one now that I think about it. Well, it has to. Interesting. Anyway, stop and start Unity. Okay. And now because apport is not running, start apport. Okay, it is. Good. When we crash it, it should save the core dump in var crash. If I understand how it works correctly, that is. Okay, var crash does exist now, so we can do this. And we crash Unity, and uh-oh, no, it went, oh, it worked properly. The bug doesn't really, oh, now it's gone. What? Alright. Ls var crash, it's empty. Would you believe that I'm not actually sure why? Let's try to debug it again. We're just going to try things until it starts to work, so apologies. Or rather, until it starts to not work, which is what we're actually after. And I'll try things for a few more minutes. Otherwise, I might just need to take it offline and continue to work on it myself. Okay. Kill. Open the app. We get our crunching sound of a speed cube. Oh, it hasn't created a shuffle for us. That's interesting. Huh. I don't know how this app is supposed to work. Crash? No crash. Alright. If we run another app, it's fine. It is possible that the crash is due to a memory corruption, in which case a program called valgrind would actually be able to see this for us. So I'm going to swap over to our terminal view. There we are. I'm going to quit this debugger and stop Unity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to download a version of valgrind from Ubuntu 18.04 because the version in 16.04 doesn't quite work right sometimes on our devices. And this is something you only learn because you have broken valgrind on our devices before, as I have. So I'm going to go to ports.ubuntu.com and find the appropriate version of valgrind in a moment. And I think if I go to packages.ubuntu.com and search for valgrind, which version do we have? In Bionic? No. It is version 1:3.13. Okay. 3.13.0. We're looking for the RMHF version, which I will grab from here. And I'll head back to our terminal to grab that file. It's not a big file, but my internet's going slow because people are working from home, I'm trying to stream, and people are also trying to watch YouTube, all in the same connection. So it's actually a miracle it's working as well as it is. Install /valgrind. And this works. It does. Just a moment as it installs. Excellent. Now, there's a little trick built into Ubuntu Touch, and that, well, specifically the Unity 8 upstart job, and that is the binary argument. So if I do a start Unity 8 with the argument binary equals valgrind, I need to actually, just a moment as I get the help for valgrind, -h, because I need to know the free list. Free list vol equals, its default is we're going to set that to twice its standard size, Unity 8. Valgrind is a program which checks for memory violations in your code. So in going back to our example of two people trying to drink out of the same glass at different times, one wants to fill it with milk, the other wants to fill it with orange juice. If they try to fill it at the same time, that is a violation of proper protocol, and neither of them gets what they want to taste from the glass. Valgrind is something to check that the glass has been filled and emptied as it's supposed to be. And it can tell when that doesn't happen in the correct order and someone gets the wrong orange juice or milk. Ugh, that'd be awful. Mixed milk and orange juice. Okay, anyway, let's start that. This is going to take forever, putting it calmly. So if I clear this other term, that doesn't actually clear it. Close that other terminal, and then head in through SSH. And we want the log of Unity 8. You can see the output of valgrind is starting here, and it's just started the compositor, so it's gonna take a while. It's just barely beginning to open the screens up like it's supposed to. Valgrind doing its work is actually very slow, because it's very slow to check every allocation and deallocation of memory, or filling and emptying of the glass in our case. It's very slow to have that third party there, making sure that people are filling and emptying their glass correctly. Unhandled instruction is not a problem, hopefully. And it just takes a while for this to start. So again, if anyone has any questions about Ubuntu Touch or UbiPorts or anything like that, now is an excellent, excellent time to be asking those. I'm gonna quit there. With luck, when we close cron, we will see a either it will crash completely like it does before, or we're going to see a unhandled or incorrect read in valgrind. There will be a lot of output, hopefully, so we'll just have to see what happens. We're expecting something like invalid read or double free or something like that. There we are. We're coming up. We're going. Unity is almost about to start, almost. And you can see here some of the Valgrind issues are beginning to be found. So if I scroll back up to that while we're starting. Conditional jump or move depends on uninitialized values. That means that something that wasn't necessarily initialized was used in an if statement most of the time. And because this doesn't actually come into Unity 8 code at all, you can see that via the listing on the right. DL map object, DL open worker, DL catch error. These are not things that are in Unity 8, so we can't fix them and we aren't concerned about them at all. That's how you read some of the output from Valgrind, though. Otherwise, the output here is just Unity and being very verbose while it starts. We're almost there, I swear. We're close to being finished. It just realized that it can't find its background, so that means we're almost there. We have to be. And there's a lot of Valgrind output starting to come out. Use of uninitialized value of size 4. This is in the Android stuff, so we aren't interested in it at all. And we'll just let it keep going. Input devices. We're almost there. We're going to show our first frame soon. We're going to show a frame on screen. And that's more libhybris stuff happening. It's probably not a problem. This is the problem with using Valgrind, is it's so slow. OpenGL shaders over on the Android side. So many Android side things. Oh, we're almost there. The screen's dark. That's one step away from the screen being not dark. Yay! There we are. One dot at a time it loads. There we are. Now we should be able to unlock it. Look at how quick that's going. So, now that we've got it started up, we're going to turn up the brightness so that you can see the screen again. We need to wait for the indicator to load. Let's see if there's absolutely nothing in the indicator at the moment. It's still trying to load it all up. Although it is possible that it's just going to be too slow and it's timing out on everything when it's trying to load them. There, brightness. Okay, no more problems. Everything's good. Now we're going to start cron. And we'll be very interested in the result of this. Oh, it's going to be so slow. There's our sound. There was no obvious... Yeah, conditional jump remove depends on uninitialized values. That's fine. There's no other obvious output from Valgrind in this area, except for stuff from the Android side, which we aren't concerned about. Okay, still not seeing anything. Again, I'm going to make a large empty space so that we can see exactly where the issue happens. Blink and you'll miss it here, I think. That's a pretty cool shuffle. That is a really cool shuffle. Look at how it shuffled that. It looks cool. I don't know what it means, but it looks cool. Anyway. Swipe in. I said swipe in. Another big gap, because that was a ton of output. And close app. I did see quite a few. Yes, this is exactly what we want to see. Well, I mean, it's not, but because it's there, it's good. Sort of. Invalid reads of size 4 inside mere common. Invalid read of size 4 instead of mere common. These are all errors that should not be happening. We're going to save those out. I'm gonna copy them over to a paste so that I can look at that later. No crash. Close. All right. Now, there are a few ways that this could go after this. When we open another app, the device could completely fail to open the app, or it could crash, or some other interesting combination of the two could occur. So we're going to get ourselves a clear terminal again. And then we're going to open an app, and we're going to see what happens. Let's open System Settings. Crash? I'm hoping it crashes, because that'll be way easier to see what's going on. Nope. It's going to open normally. Actually, it's not going to open. Instead, we just get our silly loading screen forever. Oh? Oh? What's this? That's in sensors. That doesn't matter to me. And now we're just stuck here again. So, the Valgrind output we have is about all we're going to be able to see, which is not ideal. I may actually need to run that again, but this time with more debug symbols installed, so that we know exactly what's happening in Mir server, in Mir common. Invalid read, invalid write. Block was allocated. It was freed inside Mir server. Okay. I can take you through this output a little bit more, so hopefully you can learn a little bit more about what's going on with Valgrind output. So I'm going to swap my screen share again. Change screen share to Firefox, which it tells me that could be really dangerous and I don't care. What? That window's open? Oh, it is. Let's close that. There. Itself. IPC means inter-process communication. So it's the Mir server communicating with something else, sometimes itself, or another server. Let me see. Invalid read of size 4. And that means that we tried to read a value that is 4 bytes long. At wherever this is, it's not sure where it is because it's unable to load debugging symbols. If we had debugging symbols installed, this would give us a whole trace where inside libmir common this issue was occurring. It would have the name of a function all the way back as far as it could go to everything that called that function recursively back out. But instead, we don't exactly get that. The next line tells us that this address that it was trying to read, so this is what it was trying to read, this 1 point in memory, which is some bytes above 0, is 0 bytes inside a block of size 16 that was freed in this place. So, the address that we're trying to get is the first address inside a block of something that was freed by delete. Deleted what we're trying to view somewhere inside of libmir server. And it was allocated, or it was created at a new mir recursive read-write mutex read lock. So, reading back through all of that, the block was created by mir recursive read-write mutex read lock, something doing new inside of that. And then it was deleted at some point inside libmir server right before libmir common tried to read it again. So some third party that we don't know about is taking our glass and emptying it, putting it back on the table right before we pick it up to take a big drink, and then we're sad because we don't get our preferred drink. And that is always sad. Now, in order to debug this better, I expect that I'm going to need to run it in Valgrind again, and that's going to take a really, really, really long time. But what I'm going to do is, we'll just see where we go. I'm going to install the debugging symbols for this, and for that I'm going to show you how we get debugging symbols for our Ubuntu Touch devices. And if you want to do GDB well, or if you want to do Valgrind, you will need debugging symbols. And again, that shows you actually what's happening inside the software. We can see from this backtrace that we want libmircommon.so.7's symbols, as well as libmirserver.so.48's symbols. And we know that just because we're getting 3 question marks inside that thing. So, given past knowledge of what mir is and what's inside of it, I know that these come from the mir package. And the mir package is built by the UBports CI. So if I go into mir, UBports mir, and open that job up in the Xennial branch, which of course is the distribution we're running on our device, in its successful artifacts, this will match what's installed on our device. And you might see in the list we have armhf.debs and armhf.ddeb. And ddeb is the debug symbols inside of a deb style package. By installing that, we'll install the debug symbols on our device. So we're going to need, and this is just like before where I was installing packages, where I'm going to just right click on all of the ones that I want, and then wget them on the device and install them. So we know that we want libmir server and libmir common, at least. So we're going to search for mir server, and remember it was 4.8, and we see here 4.8. We want the armhf version of the ddeb, which will match what's already on our device. So I'm going to get that wget operation going. And we wanted libmir common as well. Knowing what I know about Mir, I'm probably going to take a shortcut here and also get libmir core, just in case we're going in there. And one other, I believe. So now I can. So I've downloaded all these packages into a folder in my home directory called sim. So you can see the libmir common, libmir core, libmir protobuf, libmir server, all are here. Apt actually won't install these. If I try to do this with apt install /libmir common, it'll ask me for its password, but then it'll say that it's an invalid file, which it isn't. It's still a deb, but it's not called .deb, so apt just fails on it. So instead, we're going to use dpackage directly. So we're going to mount / and then we're going to sudo dpackage-i /star.ddeb. So we're going to install all the ddebs in this folder because we know that they're all the ones that we want. Here we are. Sync. They don't need to do that, but I do anyway. Then we're going to stop Unity. And we're going to have to restart it. We're going to have to wait for Libertine, or for everything to come back up through Valgrind, which will take a little bit again. It'll take about 5 minutes. While it's stopping, I'm going to remove its log file, because there are times where if the log file gets too large, it'll actually just be completely deleted from the disk while we're using it, and we don't want that. Because I'm impatient, I'm just going to murder Unity, which didn't help at all. It's going. It may indeed be smart to just reboot the device at this point. We have done quite a lot to it. We'll make sure that it comes up normally. Just make sure we haven't broken anything with our debugging symbols, which we shouldn't have, but you never know. You gotta test before you test your changes again. By the way, we have our Ubuntu Touch Q&A on Saturday, and I'm partially streaming here so that I can test that out, make sure that streaming is going to work. But if you want to ask your questions, you can head over to forums.ubiports.com. Inside the news section, there's the post about the Q&A on Saturday, and you'll be able to ask your questions there. And they'll get first come, first served inside the Q&A. The device just booted without Wi-Fi access. The 1+1 does that from time to time. If I reboot it'd work, but we won't need Wi-Fi for now, so it should be okay. We'll grab our SSH sessions. Wait, no, I can't get an SSH session. I just said why I can't get an SSH session. We're going to reboot the device again. Because the device doesn't have Wi-Fi. I just attempted to reboot my my laptop. That would have been fun. going back to this, how's everyone's day going? You enjoying this? Audio's good and everything, stream's good and everything. Is there anything that you'd like me to explain? Maybe about Ubuntu Touch, maybe questions that you've got? I'm all ears. Alright, we're up. Alright, so Unity did come up correctly, which is what we wanted, and Wi-Fi also came up correctly, which is also what we want. We're going to stop Unity 8 so that we can start it inside Valgrind again. Okay, and we hope, yes, okay, it did save. We're going to do that valgrind command that we did earlier. Start Unity 8 with the binary argument set so that it replaces Unity 8 with valgrind -- -freelist-vol Unity 8. And here it goes. And it's going to go slowly. We can check the Unity 8 log if we want. I think this will be the last try that I do live. And if we don't get too much more information, or if I think that I'll just need to do some more digging, I'll probably end it off here. But I did want to show everyone about messing with debug symbols and what that'll actually change in our final output. So here's our very long, slow installation process. Or startup process. We're slowly waiting for things to happen. This is a lot of development work, is just watching the terminal as things start, which is not terribly exciting, to be quite honest. We're gonna go back to this. We're almost there to start viewing our first frame. How clean is the code base? Asks Sadat. Unity, it depends a lot on the project. There are some that come to mind that are pretty clean. Mir itself is very clean and very abstracted code base. But of course, when you're doing something big like handling all this graphics hardware and all of the ways that clients could want to use that hardware, it starts to get really, really difficult to wrap your head around it sometimes. So like I said earlier in the stream, the Mir codebase and QtMir and Unity 8, I need a good IDE to actually run through them anymore. And I just discovered some new features of Visual Studio Code that will really help with that. The main problem is all of the abstractions in it. And it being C++, it isn't always the most explicit language to be abstracting things away in. So you can get lost really easily. Sometimes you can get call stacks like super, super huge 20, like when I was debugging the SDL apps to get them to start yesterday, for example, I went through 5 different function calls to end up somewhere that I didn't know where I was. And I wasn't able to find where the function call went because it crossed several boundaries, including a IPC boundary and a process boundary. So it was really hard to see where the message went in on one side. I could tell where that happened, but where the message came out on the other side and actually got acted on was really confusing. But at the same time, once I found go to definition and got that working correctly in the C++ code base, it got a lot easier to look through and see exactly what was happening. There are some other places like Unity 8 itself where some things are really well done and well abstracted, and other things, like if I go into, I actually have one open, stage.qml here, you'll see that this is hard to look through. Unity is up, so we're going to try and launch cron and see if we can get a better log out of Valgrind. Excellent question. Thanks for asking, because it's really nice to be able to answer things like that. Of course, there are a lot of components to Ubuntu Touch. There are tons of apps. There are tons of different system components. Like each of these icons up at the top of the screen is a completely separate project in a way that can be changed and messed with and everything. So there's certainly a lot to do, and everything is written in its own. There are a lot of different languages. There's Python, there's Go, there's C++, there's QML, there's JavaScript, there's all these different languages. So if there's probably something that you'll find that you love inside of Unity or inside of Ubuntu Touch. And if not, you probably aren't looking hard enough. Okay, so let's close this app and see what happens in the log. So we get the spread open. This is the spread, application spread. Get ourselves a clean terminal so we can see what's going on. And then throw away this app. And we expect to see a lot of output from this. All right. Let's pull this out into a file. because I saw. All right. So we see, as we did before. One moment. I don't think that actually went live, and I apologize. I'm pretty sure that went through. That was really loud. I'm sorry. I tried to mute. This part we don't care about because it's in libcute Ubuntu sensors, and that's not what we're messing with right now. We see the cron app closes, times out closing, and then something goes wrong down here. Inside of mir, here we are, invalid read of size 4. So this is the kind of stuff we were seeing before, but this time we have more details. So, wow. This is one line. This whole thing is one line right here. If I zoom out one, maybe it's really not better. You see here that this is inside the some code that we don't know about. This is inside maybe the standard library or somewhere else, but it's being messed with inside C++ is internal methods, which we're not terribly interested at the moment. Here we see the actual mir code. Mir recursive read write mutex read lock, which is called by mir thread safe list, which is called by mir thread safe list, which is called by mir scene surface observers frame posted, which is called by submit buffer, which is called, yeah, we're going way back. And this is what I was talking about, where you can get pretty deep into the mir code base without even thinking about it. But specifically, the read was attempted in thread safe list. It's trying to lock itself, but I'm pretty sure it might have been deleted, or at very least its read lock was deleted. Let's see what that was allocated by. Oh, we're going back, we're going back, we're going back, we're going back. Block was allocated at. Wait, no, yes. This is what we want first. It's 0 bytes inside a block of size 16 freed, but at delete by deallocate by deallocate by deallocate. This is inside standard. So, there's so much stuff here. In this huge list of output, from here down to, okay. In this entire section here that I've highlighted, the only part we care about begins here. Everything above this is code that we probably won't be able to do anything about, and most likely isn't the problem. But we see that the block was freed when we deleted the recursive read-write mutex read lock on line 39 of mir recursive read-write mutex.c++. And I can show you that file if you want. We're going to go there now. I'm going to add it to the workspace. We're going to close Unity. We're going to close QtMir. Let's see. Recursive read-write mutex. I'm going to have to find that. it is inside src include, no, this file, because this is inside the C++. src common thread recursive read write mutex. And on line 39, this is exactly where that's getting freed. So the lock is being released and freed, it seems, on that line, if I'm reading this right. Thread save list, add. No, I'm in the wrong area. I actually jumped, and that's yeah. Exactly what happened here is I jumped from one block of output to the next, accidentally. So we're gonna put a blank line there, because I don't want to miss that again. So I was wrong. Out of this output, the only thing we care about is the last line. Probably. And because it's inside a release inside libunity application plugin, that I think is provided by QtMeer. But basically what's happening here is exactly as I said before. Something's being deleted. Someone is taking our glass and emptying it. Because it's gone out of scope, most likely, and doesn't need to be around anymore. This is probably the event that occurred. Delete mirror surface. This is probably part of this event, where the window is just going away because the application's been closed. Instead of deleting it. After it's been deleted. And why and how that happens, I believe I'm going to need a lot more time to figure out. And hopefully a few helping hands. But I think that at 2 hours and 46 minutes, I'm going to leave this stream off here, and hopefully it was a bit of good insight into how you can debug your Ubuntu Touch device a little bit better, and maybe a little helpful there. So, thank you everyone for joining me for this stream. I'm going to swap cameras. Hey, there we are. There I am. Thanks everyone for joining me. It was nice to have some people watching while I worked. Maybe not. But I do like being able to try to explain these things so that it gets through my own head a little bit better. And that helps all of us become better at whatever we're trying to do. Sometimes once I get into this val grind output and stuff, I'm still a little bit uncomfortable with what exactly is going on. I'm not entirely sure. And that's kind of why I'm ending the stream here, because I don't think I could do the explanation any justice anymore. I'm not sure exactly what's happening at this point. I can tell you about what's happening, but not why, and not exactly how. So I'm going to continue working on that off stream, and hopefully we can figure out, or I can figure that out and submit a pull request within the next couple days, or ask someone to help who might know a little bit better what's going on. But But otherwise, I think this went pretty well, and I'd like to know what you think as well. You can hit me up on Twitter at UniversalSuperbox without any E's in it, or on Telegram at UniversalSuperbox with the E's in it. Thanks everyone again for joining. I've had a lot of fun and got some good work done and proven that I'm actually doing work all day and not just sitting here watching YouTube. I'm on YouTube. Hooray. And if you'd like to see more of this, let me know. Leave a like. Maybe leave a comment. We'll do more of this. And I think I've gotten a pretty good handle on Lightstream for when I need to handle it on Saturday for the Q&A. I hope I see a lot of you there. Ubuntu Touch Q&A on Saturday, 1900 UTC. Can't wait to see you. Otherwise, y'all have a good day. I'm sure I won't at this point. I'm in Valgrind. I'm not going to have a good day from this point. And I'll see you all in the next one, probably. Bye-bye.